Welcome back to another episode of Who Should You Choose, the video series where I go through prior videos, questions, and comments and help you with your HUT lineup decisions. Couple things as I like to take the first few minutes of these episodes to kind of go over some things I'm thinking about in terms of content. One, how many of you would write this and include it in the next comment for the next video you want answered? But how many of you would prefer these to be on Spotify, like an actual podcast, 20 minutes. You don't have to watch the video. I'm trying to see if there's a massive part of the audience that would rather just not have the video at all. However, obviously, I do get ad revenue and views and things like that from it, but I can take a look and see if it'd make more sense to post it on Spotify as well. Number two, guys, anyone out there that is a father or has to be up for work at like 4 in the morning, anyone that is not able to just stay up very late because you've hit the point in your life where you have like too many responsibilities earlier on in the day, how do you deal with watching sport? I went to bed with 10 minutes left in the third period of the Blues and Jets game. And let me tell you, when I woke up and saw the handshake line and the tag, where do the Blues go from here? I was like, I'm getting trolled. I mean, what in the world? Absolutely insane. Had to go back and watch it, obviously. Hellebuck saves his legacy potentially. I don't want to be, over exaggeration here. But my goodness, I thought for sure if it went to 7 in my prediction video, I said I thought the Jets would win in 6. If it goes 7, I don't think they win because Hellebuck doesn't win the big ones. Hey, they did. 1.6 seconds left for Cole Perfetti, and one of the best comebacks ever in the history of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I gotta be honest with you. Elliot Friedman said this today on 32 Thoughts as well, that it was the greatest 24 hours in hockey history in terms of viewing experience, from the Rantanen hat trick and the storylines that came out of that, from Dallas coming back against the Avalanche to this. I mean, hard to argue, obviously, not the most popular teams, I guess, but kind of crazy. And then we've got the draft lottery. I want to touch on that real quick. Draft lottery upcoming tonight. Obviously big for my Sharks. It is the Stanley Cup. However, this year it doesn't have the same juice as last year because there's no Macklin Celebrini, and as someone who has gotten to cover the OHL pretty extensively, it's kind of exciting this year because I've gotten to see Matthew Schaefer a number of times in his career already. The only skater I've watched in Major Junior that is better than Kevin He, by the way, Kevin He is voted on for the second straight year by coaches and management in the OHL as the greatest skater in the league. And Michael Misa, obviously, having an insane career so far. You've got Porter Martone, kind of fell down a little bit. But that being said, I was thinking about scenarios, and obviously I want the Sharks to get first overall again. But I think the ultimate scenario would actually be if Chicago wins the lottery, and I'll explain why. Number one, I don't think they take Matthew Schaefer. I think that they need a ton of help up front. They just took Lev Shinov. They've got Korchinski in the minors. I think that they have those, higher end D prospects. I think they desperately need more scoring to go with like Oliver Moore and those guys. That being said, if they win and they move up to first, that eliminates them from the ability to take Gavin McKenna next year because you can't win the lottery more than twice in a 5-year span. So they wouldn't be eligible to win the draft lottery until 2023, 2028, I believe, if my math is correct. Thus, they will be bad next year still, and it would eliminate another potential franchise from the Sharks getting Gavin McKenna, because I think they still need help as well. So and that would mean that the Sharks get Matthew Schaefer at 2, and they have a better chance at Gavin McKenna technically next year. Would be huge, obviously. So if they win the draft lottery, the Sharks, a lot of confusion about this. If the Sharks get the first overall pick again, guys, it does not count as a win. I did a ton of research on this because I was so confused and worried about it. Finishing last and getting first overall does not count as a lottery win. You have to have your ball drawn, move up spots. That can't happen more than twice in a 5-year span. Since the Sharks did not move up, they just stayed the same for Macklin Celebrini. They have a chance to get Macklin Celebrini, Matthew Schaefer, and then they would have a chance at Gavin McKenna. But obviously, that hasn't happened since Edmonton. So, but anyways, I think that if the Sharks get Matthew Schaefer, they've got a real chance at a cup in about 5 to 7 years. Not that I think they'll win the cup, but they'll be in the conversation. I think that they would get a Norris potential chance defenseman. They have a franchise centerman, and they have a franchise goaltender. If you look back over the last 20 years, that is the formula: franchise center, franchise defenseman, and a goaltender is a plus. You look at Chicago, obviously they didn't have a goaltender, but they had a franchise center, franchise defenseman, Duncan Keith. You look at the Pittsburgh Penguins, it would literally almost be Crosby, Letang, Fleury. You look at Colorado, you've got McKinnon and Makar. Obviously, they're not going to be the same level as that potentially, but nonetheless, I think it would be huge. And the draft lottery is tonight. I might do a live stream for it. I don't know. Super excited for it. Let's get into the questions and comments, though, as you guys have waited long enough as I've yapped. Okay. I wish they would make, this is from Jason, I wish they would make the stamina bar. It's really frustrating when you have a 99 OB that goes up the ice and he's out of energy, or even in the corner, one big hit wipes out energy completely with the same reverse hitting when you have Brady Tkachuk, who's just reverse hitting every time. Also, 5-minute OT is brutal considering the energy, not even one rush, and they're all at energy. I just wanted that pointed out. I've hit the point in the year where, for whatever reason, guys, I want to play more. I think it's my competitive juices. I don't know. It frustrates me. I want to play. I want to get better at the game as almost when the game is over. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because, there's not a lot. I have no idea mentally. I have no idea. Maybe it's because I'm so burnt out on making content in the earlier 6 months. The last 6 months, I'm more interested in playing. And this year I've played the game the least I've ever played while making more content, which is so weird to me. But nonetheless, I did a HUT Champs run, got to 12 or 13 wins, and I think I had a game left as well. And one of the most frustrating things was that they always had no energy. And then I was going up against someone that had Weber with gold truculence, and I had Ovechkin in the corner, and he got total control, like holding down circle or B, and he got hit. Literally, I saw him to go from 95% stamina to 0. Truculence is so overpowered. It really is. And even a silver truculence. So that is absolutely huge. I've also lost games because of going behind my net, and because total controls doesn't allow you to change lines. I have to literally take my hand off the control. I take my right hand off of the thumbstick, and I move over, and that's how I change lines so that I don't stop skating. But there's times where when I hit over, it doesn't activate and doesn't go to the next line. So then sometimes I have to do it twice, and then it'll go to my third line instead of my second line. It's a mess. And I could go back to skill stick, but I don't know. It's just personal preference at this point. It really doesn't do anything else different. So, but this is a massive issue. Stamina is the worst it's ever been. However, the one thing I do notice is that I have to deploy my fourth line, which I think is the whole point of what they did with stamina, was they really wanted you to have to use all 4 lines in HUT. And I can't argue that that isn't a good thing, but I don't know. I find that what ends up happening is all 4 lines have to be used equally, whereas in the real NHL, that isn't how it works. That isn't how it works. So I don't know. Really tough, and I hate stamina this year, among other things. Line changes is a whole other. Austin says, why can't they just do a special edition event where they make an 80 overall version of every player in the game with all the same stats across the board, depending on forward and deep? Maybe make them go up +2 a month, whether they have objectives, or give it to us for free. Would still take 10 months to become a 99, so it's not like it's a rewarding progression. I'm just tired of not being able to use my favorite players. Martin St. Louis has 2 Art Ross trophies, as many as Crosby, Malkin, etc. Still stuck at 88. In May, Lidstrom at 90 also speaks for itself amongst many others. This year, what we're seeing is, this is going to be a controversial take. Bear with me here. When they went from the 5-day-a-week content to 3, this was the old content team. I know the developer specifically that wanted it. And he was very knowledgeable of the game. And he stated that, with the less days of content, they can give out more usable cards, okay, than what was happening. Because if you think back to 3 years ago, what would happen on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, other than Friday, is they would release about 25, 30 cards. And I kid you not, maybe 2 of them would be usable for someone that plays the game regularly. We're talking about the hardcore player base, obviously, right? And while you would get like 83 overall cards in May, and a lot of that was just like, what is the point? And I also, back in NHL 21, one of the developers, when I was considering trying to apply to be on the content team, they basically walked me through their day, and it is a lot. Like, you come in, you have to look at all the box scores, all of that stuff, find out who to put out, and they did a really good job at acknowledging pretty much everyone in multiple leagues, right? When it was 5 days a week, but I could see why they wanted to reduce the amount of days and then try and make content better. Last year, what ended up happening was the content wasn't any better, and this year, it's the overalls, guys, are far more usable than they've ever have been. Like, we're getting pretty much only 89 and aboves being released. And why I think that's important and we forget about it is because they're not able to release enough cards to acknowledge all of the players available to them, right? That's why a lot of the alumni have been upgraded. That's why, it's why we didn't get a lot of Austin Matthews. And I don't know the process for that. What I firmly believe needs to happen is a complete teardown of content and how it is collected, how our resources are spent, how events work, and built back up. And I think that takes years. I don't think they have the people in place that could do it effectively. Not that they aren't good at their job. It's that I still don't think that there are people in power for it that have grinded Hut to know what we want. It sounds very rude, but I still stand by that. I think they need someone that's at the table that could be like, hey, I think people want some of these cards, right? But I still think that there needs to be programs where every event, in my opinion, should give out a card for every single team, and maybe an alumni and a current player from every event. So we're talking 60 cards get released. And when you go and look at all the events, man, like, that's about right, And if they did that, I think they'd be able to do it. Now, I don't know if they need to go back to 5 days a week. Would I enjoy it as a content creator and a player? Yes, every day at 5 p.m. we get something new. Cool. Yeah, awesome. Am I okay if they leave it at 3? Yes, I'd much rather have it be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because we literally go 4 days and the weekend happens and we don't get any content on Monday, which is a disaster in my opinion. But nonetheless, they need to figure out a way to keep alumni usable. And the only way to do that, in my opinion, was all the alumni had Power Up Icon cards and they go up +1 at the end of the month. It was so boring and dumb and lame, but it worked in that sense. Every first of the month, they go up by +1 overall. Are they all usable? No. But if you've got a favorite card, at least it is at that point. It is clear that they are not putting a focus on holograms and things like that. And what I hope is that there are chase cards that come out next year and they address it from the start, being like, these will upgrade regularly. These are the cards you should chase after. Almost what I would love for a content developer to come on a video and say, you sit down at the beginning of the year. This is the cards that I personally would chase after. If I could sit down with a content dev and it was in a video for you guys, I would literally ask them, what card would you chase? And have them answer and see what they say. And that would give me everything that they would say. Because if they say, I would, make sure I'm doing all the objectives and things to collect stuff for events. And if they said that, then I know that obviously we're not going after, holograms. And if they're like, well, I love Jerome McGinley, so I'd go after and get Jerome McGinley's hologram. You love Jerome McGinley, that's why you should go get the hologram, not because you're going to regularly update him. But so, I've noticed that since the last update that everyone is spamming stick lifts. Doesn't even matter how far it works every time, especially when you already have them beat and are past defenders. How the hell are these guys stripping the puck from behind with no penalty? Yeah, I was talking about this with stick lifts in the last video. I've noticed this quite a bit. Stick lifts are so vital this year. In my opinion, I think that they are massively important and something that is not a skill gap, but definitely something that needs to be utilized by everyone. I'm gonna start working on defense videos. Just things that I've collected over my time playing. Again, I'm starting to get pretty competitive. I'm trying to get the Division 1. I will get the Division 1. Want top 100 in Hut Champs as well. And I'm going to show you guys some things. And the reason why I think it's going to be useful even this late in the year is because the game is not going to change that much next year. Learning this stuff now, if you are still enjoying the game, and waiting until next year to get better when the new game comes out because you assume everything's going to be different. Look at the last 3 years. They'll introduce something random like D2D one-timers or, something like the new L2s, right? But for the most part, stuff stays very similar. We have had the same 3 strategies on offense. I do this every year since NHL '04 when Mark Crawford literally has a video of them explaining behind the net crash net overload. It's a joke, and I hope they fix that eventually, but it is useful to do it now. Would it be unrealistic for you to add an event objective that is just play X amount of online games with event players, and completing this objective would just give you all rewards for the current week? I feel like this would alleviate the chores of people who prefer to just play online. Say 50. 5 players in your lineup for 10 games seems fair. Oh, brother. You know what's so funny? I would prefer this, and this is exactly how it was 3 years ago, and everyone, including myself, hated it. It's like we don't know what we want until it's gone, but it's also like we don't know what we want because it could get worse. And I feel like that's what's happened. So much about NHL 25 is they've actually given us things that we've asked for over the years, but it's done in such a horrible manner that we didn't think that it really isn't what we wanted. I said this before about Rivals Rewards, guys. They took away the big pack dump, right? But they also removed a lot of the garbage up until the last month. They removed, like, if we go back to December, okay, when 85s were useful, right? Everything that you pulled was worth an exceptional amount of coins. That was never the case before, right? And people were like, I don't want to play 30 Rivals wins. It's a lot. If you go back to what it used to be not 30 Rivals wins. You had to essentially play 50 Rivals games and an entire Hut Champs run. Like, it was a mess, man. And the 30 wins is technically good. Like, because that's the best pack in the game, right? Or one of them, right? And what's crazy is that is a better system than what we had with the 5% get into the ultimate of the Rivals division. That is better. I remember I have videos you can go back and look at, and everyone agreed in my comment section, like, there should be a benchmark. You hit 30 wins, it doesn't matter how long you take. You can get 30-0, you could go 30-30, but you're going to get there. And at least that allows people to get there. And that's what it is. And we're all like, and what that means is that this format of the game is just not enjoyable. And they need to figure out a way to alleviate all of this. I don't know how they make events more enjoyable outside of completely interactive cards. So a master set player item, okay? Master set player item upgrades via playing with that card. It is a high-powered, extremely sought-after card for the most part, and utilizing it in your lineup would be exciting, okay? We don't want to put the bum random 89s in our lineup and take out cards that are far better that we've grinded for. They need to remove that, right? So one way would be upgradable MSPs, which we had in the game prior to this year, and upgrade them via in-game performance based on XP, so that a stick lift, a hit, whatever, is legitimately XP. It's not, you need 60 hits. And if you have to go that route, you have to go that route. But at least it's, and that's how you upgrade the cards. And then in terms of, like, the event items, wild card should be that. Wild card should be every 2 weeks, event items. And what would be sick is if they sprinkled in some, like, surprise in the wild card draft. It's like, oh, there's a random MSP from week 2 that's not released. Hype. Tough, man. Hey Sleeps. I've been watching your videos for years. I don't even remember when I discovered you. I just want to know your thoughts. Would be Hut if they brought back things like consumables for injuries and contracts. FIFA does it where they have chemistry-based nations on the team. I personally, they did bring back those contracts and injury to let you play in the next game, but maybe an idea of chemistry. Chemistry needs to happen, man. It should be captain-based. You get a captain of the card or of the team that you want, and for every player that you have of that team, they go up +3 if you have 5 people or 10 people in the lineup. You have 15 players from that team in the lineup. It goes up +7. You could use an entire base team, and they could get to like 90 overall. That is how you should do it, just like in MLB. That's gonna do it for today's Who Should You Choose. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and good luck to your team in the lottery, unless it is at the expense of the Sharks. Have a good one.